Okay, I want to address the media myth that in the Republican Party right now, it's a two-man race for the nomination. This is patently untrue. Let me tell you why. There's a misconception that the winning of states is what gets you the nomination. This is not true. It's partially has some truth to it, but it's not the full picture. It's not about winning states. It's about getting delegates. Now, delegates are people in the Republican or Democratic Party. Let's talk about the Republican Party right now. In each state. Each state's party elects a select number of people. It's hard to get into this group. My mother-in-law has been one twice. But you get elected into this group, and you are then pledged to vote for whoever wins your state's primary. Now, in a state like my state, Texas, which is a winner-take-all, that means that whoever gets the most votes in the primary, then in your state, then you as a delegate and every other delegate for that state are pledged to vote for that person. Now, of course, the caveat there is if you don't choose to keep your pledge, nobody really does anything to you. So there's always that chance. But anyway, there are other states that are not winner-take-all. So they have a pool of delegates, and then say you have three places, right? One guy gets 34%, one guy gets 35%, one guy gets 26%, whatever. It depends on the different states as to how they're divided up, but a group of delegates will go to this, a group of delegates will go to that guy, a group of delegates will go to that guy. Just proportionally to who's in first, second, or third, or first and second. It depends on the state as to how they divide it up. I don't know. I live in a winner-take-all state. So the point is, you can quote-unquote lose, or come in second, come in third in a state, and still get delegates. So you can still add to your score, if you will, without making what is perceived as a field goal. Okay, I keep using these sports analogies, whatever. Anyway, so it's about delegates. Let me tell you something about delegates. In the Republican Party, you need 1,191 delegates to become the Republican nominee. That's 1,191 delegates. Okay? If you don't get 1,191 delegates, you are not the nominee. Okay? And if someone does get 1,191 delegates, then they are the nominee and everybody else has to go home. But in this race so far, only 8% of the delegates have been awarded. 8%. That means essentially it's like it's an election and 92% of the votes have not been cast yet. Not even cast. Forget counted. They haven't even been cast. Okay? It's wide open, is it not? What responsible network would call an election with only 8% of the votes in? Who would do that? I mean, you see elections called at 60-odd%, and you think, oh, maybe, depending on how close it is. You think, I don't know, that could be a little shaky. Calling it at 60%, it's just over half, right? 8% of delegates have been awarded. And people want to say, oh, well, in fact, I read an article just today that said, it was all talking about McCain, how he assumes to win the nomination, which I love his arrogance. But he assumes he's going to win the nomination. And then it says Romney is fighting to stay in. And then Huckabee is running a distant third. That's how they termed it. Well, Romney's not fighting to stay in the campaign. He's not, the ground's not about to fall out from under his feet. He's doing quite well. He's not very far behind McCain in terms of delegates or in terms of, because of how many delegates are in each state. Huckabee has almost as much delegates as Romney does. They're right neck and neck, okay, in terms of delegates. Now, McCain has a pretty big lead right now because he won Florida, which is a winner-take-all. But there are more delegates in Georgia alone than there are in Florida. There are more delegates in Missouri alone than there are in Florida. And if you want to go past Super Tuesday, there are far more delegates in Texas than there are in Missouri or Georgia or Florida. Okay? So this is still a wide open race. Why is it wide open? Because if the media say, oh, well, this guy's probably going to win this state, and this guy's probably going to win that state, and this polls say this state, and the polls say that state, don't listen to that. You look at the candidates yourself. Go to their websites, watch the debates, and decide for yourself who you like best. And then tell your friends and family, get with other people, campaign for that person, support that person, and you can change the game. For whatever candidate you want to vote for. I would prefer you do it for Mike Huckabee. But look, in the Republican Party, this is a definite three-man race, if ever I've seen one. You call it a two-man race, it's ridiculous. It's like saying, these guys are neck and neck, and this guy's a little bit out ahead, and these two are the only ones who have any chance of winning. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. But this is how the news media tries to tell you who to vote for. And I know it's not a huge conspiracy necessarily. I don't think it's necessarily anything that they try to do, but I think it's something that happens based on the assumptions that they tend to operate on because of the noise that they're listening to from each other. So that's how the delegate thing works, and that's how this is a three-man race, not a two-man race. So if you're supporting Huckabee right now, you keep supporting Huckabee. Don't believe the lie that a vote for Huckabee is a vote for McCain. Actually, a study's been done that most people who are voting for Huckabee have McCain as their second choice. So really, a vote for Huckabee often takes votes away from McCain. So if you're an anti-McCain person like me, then a vote for Huckabee is a vote in the right direction. So really, if you don't want McCain, you really need to look at Romney and Huckabee and see who you believe in there. And I'll talk about that some more in a later video as well. But there you go.